Peace family, it's your boy Gerald. It is 9th of April 2020. How is everybody doing? I know right now some of y'all are blinking, trying to catch your breath because you are shocked about what you see. I cannot believe you cut your hair. Okay. And you thought that you would never see the day that would even be. But some of y'all that have been riding with me now a little bit over 7 years, remember a time where I had also went through the process, and you have seen every hairstyle. I even dyed it one time, and then I decided to embrace my spiritual walk, and I decided to grow my hair. And I did that initially is to show as an example to some that may have felt insecure about how their physical crown could be if they allowed themselves to go within, to allow the body to naturally do what it needs to do. And I had grown my hair originally 3.5 years, and it got down to my shoulders. And then I went through that phase where I cut it off. And then 3 more years, I grew it again. Because your hair follicle is a representation of the inner you. It is like the litmus paper to the environment. And it is also a reference point of what's going on, not only on the physical sense, but the emotional. And as you already know, your emotions is nothing but a representation of who you are, your spirit. So, with everything that's been going down, I can say here in Virginia Beach, we too, especially in my occupation, were told to pretty much have a seat for a couple weeks. And in that process, like many of you, it was about checks and balances. It was also about allowing yourself to reflect, to balance out where you are today, to reference where you were yesterday, as well as to focus on where you're going. So with that being said, after deep contemplating, I realized that even though proverbially my hair isn't an extension, it is only an aspect of what defines me. So I decided to cut it off. And, I was kind of frustrated up to the moment that I decided to cut my locks, because I actually measured them and they were a little bit over 7 inches in length. Some areas was almost 10. And but I had noticed that, you guys have seen me historically in the past, I would wear my headbands, and I didn't realize that maybe 2 right on the back of my neck had broke off. And as you know, what's going on with the pandemic, you don't have access to your stylists, your barbers, your nail techs, because number 1, they're human beings just like you, and number 2, your health is paramount. That comes first. So you got a lot of people that proverbially may be feeling a certain kind of way. And I think it's kind of funny because you don't see people putting out selfies like that now, because you're seeing the real individual. But nonetheless, that was my indicator that, where you're going. To get there, sometimes you have to let go of what's been holding you down, what your anchor is, to make a readjustment. because it's about proverbial change. And not to be distracted, family, as I'm talking to you, I'm looking in the sky and I see these two vultures. You may know them as turkey buzzards, and they're flying, and you know. And to some people, when they see that, they said that's an indicator of death. But when you think about it, really that's an indication of change. Because this world is temporary that you're going to have access to. So it's very important as we as individuals seize the day. Carpe diem. Get out of your own way. Acknowledge what is present. Once you acknowledge what is present, that gives you an option to make a choice. Should you stay? Should you reflect? Should you decide to go forward? Whatever that endeavor may be. So, without thinking, I committed to my choice. And I cut my hair, cut them. And as I was cutting my hair, as the locks were falling into, because I had a little trash bag underneath me, like one, you know, I've got a bunch of construction trash plastic bags, you know, for your leaves, the big ones. So I put that under me, so that, you know, I could try to be as neat as possible. And as I was going through the process of going against the grain, I thought about everything that had an impact in the process of me making the decision to grow it to begin with. I thought about it, you know, not to the point I was analytical about it, but I was just thinking about, wow, all the things I've experienced, all the milestones, all the setbacks, all the disappointments. And then I kind of smiled because I looked at it as, I know the scriptures, and some of you theologians will know what I'm referring to, where they say that in certain communities, when one sacrifices oneself, it's the highest good. And one symbolization is shedding of the hair. Some communities shed their hair to indicate passing, death. But what is death? Death is change. But I also know that with death comes life. And that life will spawn opportunity because you're planting seeds. Now, let me throw this out here. You don't have to have the media tell you what you need to do and what you don't need to do. At the end of the day, whatever choices you make gonna fall on your chest. So with that being said, I am conveying to the intended heart and intended mind. Please, do what's right. Because you have people directly and indirectly that are depending on you to do so. And you cannot do that if you are not in the best mind, body, and spirit. So I've conveyed to those in the past, how's your vitamin regimen these days? You know, the one thing that I'm very shocked that people have not echoed time and time again, especially through this pandemic, is keep your immune system as high as you can. Because if your immune system is at the optimum rate, guess what? If there is possibly someone that has the virus trait, within your midst, guess what? You've got a natural defense. Another thing is, don't sweat the small stuff. One of the most non-talked about threats when it comes to your immune system is your stress level. Do you realize when you're stressing over something, you easily get sick? Think about it. You feel worn down, you feel exhausted, but you're still worrying about that. Just know that is temporary. It's going to require responsibility by first acknowledging it exists, whatever it may be. But once you have done that, half the work is done. The other 50% will require you to have effort on how you're going to combat said issue. But guess what? This may be the moment that you're able to find something about you that you did not know. Maybe this is the moment that you're going to tap into an aspect of yourself or a perception of yourself that you didn't even know existed. But I'll tell you this. The people that don't mean you well, the people that don't have your best interests, guess what? They knew that all along. And they was hoping that you would not discover it yourself. Now, this does not give you permission to turn around and reciprocate the same energy back, because as it was said, you will reap what you sow. And no one has the ability to run from their own karma. You know, I know we live in a world where we see people put on pedestals and you're like, why? Why is this person being acknowledged such, and seems like they're constantly being rewarded, right? It's not their time. It's not their time. They may be perceived to, you may think they winning from a perception. But maybe while everything is playing out the way it is, which should be the moment you focus more on yourself and stop worrying about what they're doing. Because at the intended time and moment, guess what? All things not solid will fall apart. Always does. Especially if it's not blessed. You know. That's why the devil will always give you what you want, never what you need. And I heard somebody proverbially say, one person, the one way you can find out that you are in hell is when you have access to everything you want and you realize you don't have enough time, or there's nothing you can do about it. So, what I'm saying to each and every one of you, no person knows. You don't know when's the last time you're going to take your last breath. You don't know when that person that you have access, that is the last conversation you're going to have. Or the moment that you are interacting, that will be the last time for your story. Because everybody that you will come to know has a role in your life. May be good or bad, but when you think about it, if you are said blessed to live a ripe, wise, seasoned age, you'll look back and you'll see what happened and why those cause and effects got you to where you are today. Because what's being developed, what's being ingrained is your legacy. Your legacy. Your legacy. And let me tell you something, fam. You know, these last couple of weeks, because what you don't realize is I've been nursing my shoulders is pretty banged up. And got some issues with my neck. And I'm hoping I don't need surgery. You know, the one thing that I've been doing is really reflecting on what life will be like once we come out of this. Because we will come out of it. Some of y'all already see the writing on the wall, proverbially from a financial position. You know, there's a lot of people that unfortunately gonna go through some things. And I remember I used to echo all the time in my videos before I would close them out. I would always say, you know, as the scripture says, those who are last will be made first, and those who are first will be made last. And the two is the same. What separates them is the experience, the opportunity of the insight of the journey. You know, some people are going to embrace their walk. Some people are going to learn things about them that they never knew existed. Their empowerment, their vulnerability, their mortality, you know. Because you only got one shot at it. So why waste it? Why waste it? Now, I know some people going to say, well, Gerald, I hear what you're saying. And that's why my position is, you know, I ain't got no cut cards, or I don't tolerate certain things. And they think that the illustration of said position is really a display of strength, but really is nothing but a display of vulnerability, you know. And that's okay, because you are the architect of your life. Now, as I told you time and time again, family, I felt it in my spirit that change was coming. And I knew that in the appropriate time and moment, all would be revealed. And what is authentic won't have to be explained. And I look forward to bringing you along. And I look forward to hearing from y'all, because you guys are seeing it play out in your lives every day. Every day. You know? And the thing is, you deserve it. You deserve it. But the one thing that should not be ransomed, compromised, is your happiness. Some of you look back at where you were 6 months ago. Now, from that 6-month period, look back a year from that. And from where you were a year from that point to where you are now. You can't tell me God ain't real. You can't tell me you ain't blessed. Now, the sad thing about that is, what was removed may have brought you some discomfort. And some of you may be still scratching your head today about that. And maybe some of you have actually gotten to the point where you have come to accept that it was for the best. This is not about punishment. This is about preparation, what is required for you. This has to happen. Because you're going to win. You do get that, right? So, unfortunately, there are going to be those who will not have access to you anymore. There will be those that from afar will still be checking what you're doing. That's okay. That's just nothing but love. That's all it is. You know? But I didn't want to take up too much of your time, fam. I just wanted to take a moment to reach out to each and every one of you. Let you know. But else, for the most part, I'm fine. I'm great. Health is good. I mean, unfortunately, like I said, I got this shoulder injury. And I got this issue going on with my neck. But, you know, as soon as this, I'm actually waiting to go see a specialist for it. But all in all, I'm great. I'm good. So with that being said, please maintain your vitamin levels. If you're not taking your vitamins, start taking them. And when it comes to your immune system, you cannot beat if you implement vitamin B, vitamin C, iron, zinc, and then for your lungs, iodine pills. Iodine. That's good for your white blood cells, which is that's what fights you from getting sick or any foreign antibodies that may have gotten access into your system. Start implementing that into your regular routine, and not only you'll get clarity, because some of you might be suffering from brain fog. You know, you've heard of brain fog. You know, absent-minded. It's your vitamins. It's your body saying, "Hey, I need that booster." Go ahead, start hydrating, and the big one, keep your stress level down. Don't sweat the small stuff. It's okay to take a step back, because that's what insight's about. That's what your wisdom is made of. And guess what? Sometimes it's also good just to be still and be silent, because you're worth it. So from me to you, I hope you're blessed. I hope you're safe. Reach out to those that matter to you. It doesn't hurt to pick up the phone. Hey, how you doing? Even the ones that you're dealing with, you got to say you love it. You got to love from afar or love from afar. They still your family. You don't have to have a conversation, but you'll feel good that you did. So from me to you, stay well, stay blessed, stay protected, because you are blessed. Peace.